So crowds in the grandstand watching the action. But there was not a great deal to see until right at the very end of the race, David, and then the last 2 laps is where it all happened.
Yes, I have to say, watching that replay of Gabriele Tarquini and Augusto Farfus, I don't see it quite the way that Gabriele's seen it, saying that he was up against a barrier, there was nowhere else to go. In actual fact, there was quite a bit of a distance between him and the barrier still to go when he tagged the back of Augusto Farfus and turned him round.
Yes, in fairness, not many people often see those incidents the same way as the driver who's caused them, do they?
No, never. And the driver, you know, when they're involved in these things, has always got one side to it, his side, and that's the way it always is. So that's it. But we'd like to see just how much repairs need to be done to Augusto Farfus. Can they get it repaired and back out? And I know the Schnitzer team are really good guys. I've known them for a number of years. They've got the same guys worked for them for the years, and if they can, or if anyone can turn a car around and repair it and get it back out there, it will be those guys. But there they are, all working now.
Well, the car on the right there with the bonnet up, that's Prio. The car on the left with the bonnet up, that's Jörg Muller. But no bonnet up on Farfus's car, and nobody forward of the doors either. Nobody working on the front of the car, even changing tyres. Do you know, I'm not sure that car's going back out again.
Well, it could be if it's torn the suspension off. There's just too much work to do to get it out in 15 minutes, in which case they're going to say, well, OK, let's concentrate on the cars that can run and can try and get a good finish. But, you know, with Jörg Muller only finishing 13th, he's still a long way down. It doesn't look as though he's going to score any points here at all this weekend in Macau.
And the real worry for BMWs, you said exactly correctly, David, is the number of Seats versus the number of BMWs in the points in race 1. Who will start in the top 8 in race 2? Highlights of race 1 then. Yeah, well, Tarquini just picked him up and pushed him until he spun, didn't he? Quite clearly. And after Ivan Muller's disappointment, that was 2 championship contenders out of the championship hunt through absolutely no fault of their own. So I'm afraid to say, anybody who watches the video, and that includes the stewards.
Dr. Mario Tyson, we saw quite an exciting race, but there was this big incident between Augusto Farfus and Gabriele Tarquini. How did you see it?
Well, that's exactly the sort of thing we don't want to see in the races, and I have to say it's not been for the first time. So I'm really disappointed about that. On the other hand, I'm sorry for Ivan Muller, who did a strong race. Apparently he had technical problems. So this is racing.
So, but now you can actually prepare for celebrating the championship with Andy Prio starting from pole position from race 2?
Well, we have seen a lot here in Macau, and it's not over yet. Certainly our position is way better than before the first race, but we still have to finish.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is very premature, isn't it, to even consider what might happen after another 9 laps of Macau. But certainly I would like to bet that Andy Prio's frame of mind is a very great deal better getting out of the car than it was getting in early on this afternoon.
I have to agree with you there, because you know, he really wasn't going well this weekend. He really didn't have the pace to go with everything else. There's the car of
There's the
Farfus.
answer. That's why they're not bothering to do anything to it.
Far, far too badly damaged. They couldn't replace all the front of that car. It's the suspension, I'm sure, that will be damaged as well, and that's the bit that will stop him from moving forward. That bodywork cannot be safely repaired to get him back out of one place. There's the mechanics. Those 2 guys have been with Schnitzer for as long as I can remember. Talking to Mario Tyson about what the car is and what's happening.
Pierre-Yves Courtal's car being finally straightened up, so he's going to go out there and give it whatever he can. Kathy Muller, you just saw the blonde hair, the team boss of the Hexagon Engineering team, and of course her brother Ivan. What a heartbreak it's been for both members of the Muller family. What a celebration they could have had if Courtals had somehow managed to win the independents and Ivan had won the overall championship. That would have been a double Muller family championship win. They would have been a very, very happy brother and sister pairing, but unfortunately neither now seems likely to happen. The tall figure of Bart Mumpai stalking through there to go to the front of Andy Prio's car as the bonnet goes down, and we get ready now for the cars to go back out onto the grid. And I know Sebastian is down there hunting for some interviews. It's probably not the greatest time to catch up with Ivan Muller, but I would really like to hear from him or Hugues de Schoenack or somebody what's stuff going on. Just on the right-hand side of your picture, past the palm tree, you can see the figure of Joe Prio, Andy's wife, and her body language looks a lot more relaxed than I would have expected if Andy had finished out of the top 8 in race 1.
That's right, and you know, she gets so excited when Andy wins these championships at the end of the year. She really does bounce up and down with excitement, and I'm sure she'll be hoping to be doing exactly the same shortly.
Schmidt, the president from SEAT. How did you see the first race? You were quite unlucky with Ivan Müller having a failure, I think.
It was excellent until the last 3 kilometers. So, but nevertheless, so this is something which can happen in racing. So we're good with all the other drivers, and now we fight so for the championship for the brand.
You're the first time in Macau, you told me. So how do you like the atmosphere here?
This is perfect. You know, I was responsible when I worked for Audi for China, and it was like coming back to China.
Okay, thank you, and good luck for the second race.
Thank you very much. All the best to you too.
That was Eric. He's not the president of SEAT Sport as we thought, but he's the president of SEAT of Spain.
Yes, indeed. In fact, the lady who was with him that we saw yesterday in qualifying is the president of SEAT Sport, who we met in Monza, and whose name completely escapes me, as they do. So Alain Menu then, 5 times a winner this year. That's not a bad strike rate from 22 races in the championship, is it? That's 1 every other weekend, and everybody else has managed 1 every other half of the season.
When he gets pole, he wins a race. He's had 5 poles, he's had 5 wins.
Yes, absolutely.
If he'd all just been a bit more consistent with the rest of the races, you know, he too would have been up there fighting along with the 3 people we have left in the championship: Thompson, Prio, and Ivan Müller.
Yeah.
And we're yet to see if Ivan Müller comes out for this race, because we don't know what the technical problem was that he had. It would be nice to know what that technical problem actually turned out to be.
Yeah. Well, let's get back down to the pits. Sebastian has found somebody else to catch up with.
Eric Neve, congratulations for the 5th win for Alain Menu, and your 6th win of the season, I think.
It's the 7th win for Chevrolet this season. The race from Alain was absolutely breathtaking. He didn't make any mistake, really stayed focused until the end, and the events at the last lap turned into our favor, and it's really wonderful to turn a pole position like that into a win. Great stuff.
You seem to be extremely strong in city tracks. I mean, what you achieved in Po and Porto and now here in Macau, what does this make so strong, or what does your car make so strong here?
Well, you would be amazed. It's actually a problem we have on the car, a fact that the Chevrolet Lachetti is the narrowest car we have, and in a small track and narrow track like the city car, this fact turns into an advantage for us because it's obviously you can be faster with a narrow car than with a wider car, and we are also quite good on top speed, which are the 2 elements you need here, and this makes the Chevrolet a 100% winner in street race so far.
Thank you very much.
He's absolutely right. 7 wins, 5 courtesy of Alain Menu, 1 Rob Huff, and 1 Ricardo Rydell, which we possibly better not mention to Nicola Larini's hearing, but that's every 3rd race this year has been won by Chevrolet so far. Impressive stuff. Cars on the circuit here at Macau then, heading round to the grid. Alain Menu, our race 1 winner, will start, of course, in 8th place. As with every race weekend in the World Touring Car Championship, top 8 in race 1 are reversed for the grid of race 2. 8th becomes pole, and the winner will restart in 8th place. Thereafter, from 9th on down, and here that means Duncan Heisman below, they finish race 1, and that is their starting position for race 2. And it has produced some pretty impressive performances from drivers struggling to get into the top 8 to keep their point scoring hopes alive and their hopes of winning races alive, and some interesting shuffling of the orders, of which possibly Nicola Larini was involved, trying to drop himself down in the race 1 grid to get to a winning position potentially for race 2. There's James Thompson, 5th place in race 1, and that puts him 4th on the 4th on the grid for race 2, doesn't it? I can't count. Behind Nicola Larini. So there they are. They will start 2nd and 4th, and Andy Priaulx will start in 1st place with Thiago Monteiro in 3rd position on the grid. And there is Priaulx. And so it is, David, 2 cars with Union flags on the roof this year that will battle for the championship. That's not a situation we've had before, with 2 British drivers going head-to-head for the World Championship.
No, it's not, and I have to say it's great for the people in Britain who are watching this, the World Championship at Macau, the very last race of the year, round 22. 22 races they've had, and still 3 people battling for this championship, and 3 different manufacturers with it.
And there at the back, Pierre-Yves Courtals, the man who, by rights, probably like Ivan Muller, should be with one hand on the championship trophy. He, of course, is contesting the independence category, the Yokohama Independence Trophy.
Now then, we know Augusto Farfus is not coming out, so we know he's not at the back of the grid. There's a number of spaces at the back of the grid, and one of them should be...
Yes, it is. It's in front of Courtals. You can see the board with the number 3 on it. She was holding, and that would have been in front of Courtals. So that gives him a free run from 28th, with no space in 26 in front of him. And ahead of him will be the Russian Romanov, Andrei Romanov, in his BMW.
But somewhere back there should be Ivan Muller. What we're looking for, what I'm looking for, is Ivan Muller making it to the grid?
Well, he should be alongside Pierre-Yves Courtals. Well, if not, because it wasn't fixable, whatever it was. There is a yellow Seat coming through, or is that a yellow BMW? Very hard to tell.
Coming through, that's not
yeah, so that doesn't
Muller.
help as much, does it? Well, the obvious answer is he won't join the grid if it was gearbox or engine. If it was a drive shaft, then there would have been time to change it. And actually, since you mentioned earlier about how reliable the Seats have been, since their introduction weekend, the diesel engine cars in Anderstorp, they have been paragons of reliability, which is not bad considering they went to Anderstorp with only 1,000 or so testing kilometres on the car, and immediately found in racing at Anderstorp things that they had not found in testing that came apart. But since then they have been paragons of virtue, and just under where it says Alain Menu there is an empty grid space that should have an Ivan Muller. I don't think he's coming out.
Now that we've seen earlier on the points for the Manufacturers' Championship, and I'm just looking at the grid, in the top 8 I can see 1 BMW.
Yep.
I can see 3 Seats.
Yep.
Now then, if they can score
and 3
well,
Chevrolets.
Chevrolets won't win the Manufacturers' Championship.
No, indeed.
But if the 3 Seats score well, compared to the 1 BMW, they are only 2 points behind BMW. They could still take the Manufacturers' Championship.
Yeah.
So even if Andy Priaulx wins the Drivers' Championship, there's still a possibility Seat can walk away from this year, 2007, as the Manufacturers' Championship for the World Touring Car Championship.
Yes, in the last couple of seasons, BMW have taken both the Drivers' and the Manufacturers' title, and certainly at the beginning of this year, after the Brazil races, where BMW drivers were 1, 2 and 3 and led the championship all tied together, it looked as though BMW might well have the advantage, but that has not proved to be the case. Seat have closed the gap, so too has Alfa Romeo again, so too has Chevrolet, and it is a very level playing field indeed at the end of the season. Rickard Rydell, one of many former British touring car drivers, and another that many British fans recognise is not born in Britain but is essentially a British driver. He spent so long racing in the UK, of course famously for Volvo, perhaps most famously for Volvo. Alex Zanardi, another driver that fans across the world consider to be their own, not just because of his racing ability, but particularly, of course, for his huge personality out of the cockpit, and more recently for the phenomenal way that he has overcome enormous adversity to continue to race at World Championship level.
It's not just the racing at World Championship level. It was only 2 weeks ago he was in New York doing the New York Marathon in the wheelchair part of the race.
And finished top 3. Was he second, I believe, in the class?
I think he was second, yes.
He was. Yeah,
he was just a phenomenal. He wasn't expected to be that far up, even himself. And really tickled pink he was to be there. And I have to say, as you said, the personality is just so large with Zanardi, and I think that is a great thing for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he's a real credit to the championship that he can race at this level, and a huge credit to himself. You saw Duncan Heisman there, the man who's starting in 9th place after allowing Andy Priaulx through into 8th position. And here's our race 1 winner. Round 21 fell to Alain Menu, and as David pointed out earlier, he has a 100% record qualifying on pole and winning race 1 on all the street circuits so far this season. And clearly a man, therefore, who'll be voting for a lot more street circuits in the future. Although next year's addition to the championship is not a street circuit. It's at Okayama in Japan, the circuit formerly known as AIDA, which held... wasn't the Japanese Grand Prix, what do they call it? Pacific Grand Prix, didn't they, in 94 and 95. So the AIDA circuit at Okayama in Japan will host 2 races in the World Touring Car Championship next year, and that will be after Monza on the way to Macau. They will head to 2 Oriental races, 2 races on the Asian continent, or in Asia. So here's Gabriele Tarquini taking his place on the grid, and clearly therefore no major worries from the stewards. But I have to say, I think Tarquini perhaps just a little disingenuous, saying that it was mainly Farfus's fault. And I have to say, when you're not in contention for the championship and one of the drivers you're racing is a direct rival of one of your teammates who's right in front of him, I think you have to be a little more careful with where you put your car than what Gabriele was. That's not very good English, but I think the gist is there. I'm not sure that was perhaps in retrospect the best move that he could have made.
No, and unfortunately we have seen that before in the World Touring Car Championship. In fact, in most touring car championships throughout the world, it's not what we want to see, and I'm sure it's not what the drivers out there want to be involved in, because it totally ruined Augusto Farfus's race, and he didn't finish, and not being even able to start the second race because of the accidental damage and such like. But there's Johnny Gené's car. He's got that fixed, and of course he will be starting on the 3rd row of this race.
Andy Priaulx will start on pole from Nick Larini, with Chaga Montero and James Thompson 3rd and 4th on the grid. So 2 men in the championship hunt. Priaulx and Thompson will start 1st and 4th, and Thompson needs to, at the very least, reverse that order. He's got to win the championship. Both men. Cars on the grid then, ready for the final showdown. Race 22 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship, the last of the season for 2007, and it is still not over. Just like at Thruxton a month ago, the British Touring Car Championship went to the very final race, and so does the World Touring Car Championship. And also, again, we have a chance of a British winner. In fact, we have a certain British winner. This time, I'm afraid, no Fabrizio Giovanardi in an Alfa Romeo to go for the title, but a soulmate clearly with James Thompson. I know who Fabrizio will be cheering for, and I know who a very great deal of the rest of the Toka dinner will be cheering for as well. I would think it's got to be split about 50-50 between Priaulx and Thompson, because those are the 2 drivers who are shooting for the 2007 FIA World Touring Car Championship. If Thompson won, it would be his first World Championship title. It would be the first World Championship title for Alfa Romeo since 1977, when they won the World Sports Car Championship. If Priaulx wins, he will be a 4-time FIA champion, 3-time FIA World Touring Car champion, and once FIA European Touring Car champion, the first man ever to win 4 back-to-back FIA Touring Car championships. So he really has a huge chance to write his name even larger in the annals of touring car history.
but it's very difficult to go out there and drive carefully in order to finish and score points. There is no carefully in the World Touring Car Championship. You have to be committed and you have to go for it from the very first lap. And there's no point thinking, well, I'll just let one pass and follow him. Because if you let one pass, believe me, there'll be a big queue right behind him, all waiting to fill a gap, and you will have great difficulty to get back in there. Now, that's what we were looking for. What was going to happen with this car?
Nothing's going to happen with it, unfortunately.
No driver.
No, Ivan Muller's car out of race one, out of the championship. And so Ivan Muller will take no further part in proceedings. He is currently 1 point behind Priaulx in the championship, but that is absolutely irrelevant now as far as he's concerned.
Just such a pity, because Ivan Muller came here on top of the world. See it, we're on top of the world with their diesel engine that they introduced second half of the season. And Ivan Muller was just so quick the whole weekend. And when he was qualifying, expected to be on pole, didn't quite make it. Menu just pipped him to that, but nevertheless he made a good start, too good a start some would say, but as Alan Menu said, he drove a terrific race, didn't make any mistakes, and he was looking for a win, and unfortunately something went wrong. That something was obviously something fairly major, and despite all our efforts at Eurosport, we don't seem to be able to get someone at See It to tell us exactly what went wrong. We can only surmise that it was slightly more serious than first thought.
It was pretty much instantaneous, and something went bang or clatter under the car, didn't it? So then, the final race of the year, Andy Priaulx leading the field round to the grid for the last time in 2007, James Thompson chasing. And for Thompson, it really is very straightforward. Nothing but a win will do, and even then he has to pray that something happens to Priaulx to take the championship, to finish the Alfa Romeo fairy tale that they've had this year. Augusto Farfus's car under covers, and his mechanics, who have worshipped this guy since Pau. They liked him a lot before, they have worshipped him since Pau. After nearly writing off the car in qualifying, he then went on to win race two, an almost inconceivable turnaround after the lows of qualifying, but Farfus will play no further part in it. For Thompson then, it's win or bust. And as you hinted at, David, Priaulx, he's got to try and somehow win the race, but in qualifying he barely had a top 15 car. In the race even, he did not have a top 10 car. He has not got a car that will run away from this field. To a greater extent, the pressure is on Priaulx more than Thompson.
It's very much on Priaulx, and I think Thompson has the car and the ability to get to the front, and when the race he's got to see it, and he's got...
Well, he's got plenty of family support there, dad, wife, mum, the whole crew over from Guernsey, and everything crossed. But what can he do? He pretty much is in the same boat as Thompson. The only safe option for him is to win from the front and to try and make sure that nobody gets close enough to cause him a problem.
But if he's not got a car underneath him that he had previous races, and when he comes to Macau, then he's going to have a big queue of cars behind him, and he only needs one of them to make a slight mistake, as Gabriele Tarquini did, and all of a sudden it could be turned around.
So, deep breaths everybody, let's get ready. Pierre-Yves Courtals will be the final man on the final grid of 2007, the man whose Independence Trophy chance has already slipped away. At the front of the field, Andy Priaulx, and fourth on the grid, James Thompson in the Alfa Romeo, are championship contenders. From the standing start, the BMW has the advantage. Away they go, great start from Thompson. He's already been boxed out by Larini, but he's going to go by him. James Thompson will be second around the first corner as they get around Reservoir Bend. He's outstarted Nicola Larini. Another tardy getaway. Rob Huff said Nick was slightly asleep at the rolling start. He didn't get away well there either, and maybe it was more than just dropping down deliberately for Larini. He's right up behind Thompson in race one. Larini dropped down. Maybe his car's not quite where he wants it to be, but Thompson right behind Priaulx, so double pressure now for Priaulx, and the start could not have gone better for Thompson. Thiago Montero around the outside of Larini. They get through. That's Menu facing the wrong way, but somebody else went off. It's a Seat has gone off stage left, and I think that's probably Janae, who was just in front. It's Tarquini, the bite a bit. Somebody else, I think, went off there as well.
Yes,
but Prio leads from Thompson, and in third place, Nicola Larini, our championship contenders, first and second. Come on. Well, there you go. Duncan Heisman a little further back. He's chasing the Seat of, it's got to be Janae, but the top three breaking away very quickly indeed. Montero fourth, Huff was in fifth place as they all squirmed out of Lisboa. And David, from the standing start, which should have been the slightly safer option, they very nearly had a big pile-up, and in fact there may have been one further back in the field, but our eyes naturally must be on the battle for the 2007 title, and Thompson has got the quicker car. In fact, possibly Thompson now has the quickest car in the field.
Thompson has been quick all weekend. He's really right up there, just knocking on the door, you know, on that 8th place as he was in qualifying. He made a good job in the first race, scored himself some decent points. He knows he needs to win this race. Oh, give it a little bit of bash, won't you? Just where the yellow flags are. Tomo is really committed. He wants to win this race, and just hopefully he hasn't hit that car hard enough to do damage to the radiator or anything else when he touched the back of Andy Prio's car there at the hairpin. But he will be committed all the way around the circuit to try and get that position away from Andy if at all possible.
What's the Alfa's advantage? It's the lowest drag car, it gets a great tow, it's got really good top-end speed, and that may help him here. Prio is just about close enough for Thompson to get a tow off and stay in touch, but that little touch at the hairpin, David, didn't do much for Prio, but it certainly didn't help Thompson at all. But now he's closing, now he's reading him in, but Larini's going with them. Thiago Montero is in fourth, Duncan Heisman in fifth place, Jordi Janae is, that's Janae, and then Rydell have now got ahead of Jörg Muller.
Jörg Muller up to 8th to score a point. That's a great start from 12th on the grid.
Oh, and Thompson's looking on the inside as they get down to Lisboa on lap 2. Prio is under the cosh. David, I don't think I have ever been in a position where I've had to commentate on a championship battle, never mind a world championship battle between two British drivers. I don't know quite what to do with myself. What a fantastic position to be in. And what an enthralling race this is going to be, because the pressure of Larini right behind is making life just as tough for Thompson as Thompson is making it for Prio.
It's a big thing for Thompson having Larini there, because he's not only got to worry about trying to get past the car in front, that white BMW belonging to Andy Prio with number 1 on the door, but he's also got to watch his mirror and just see what Larini's doing, because he knows those Chevrolets have been quick all weekend. We've seen it. They won the first race. There was 2 of them on the podium, and unfortunately it wasn't Larini who was there. He really wants to be there. He would like to be on that top step. Yeah, I'm sure third will be okay, but at the end of the day he's missed that standing on the top step all year long. That's where he wants to be, so he will be chasing it there. But in fourth place you've got Montero, after that Duncan Heisman, after that Jordi Janae with you the diesel, then Rickard Rydell, Jörg Muller in 8th place, great start. Rangoni, the first of the independents, in 9th place. Great start for him.
And it looks like he is going to be the man who ends up with the points. Rob Huff is out of the race after 1 lap, but Prio still leads from Thompson. It was 0.6 of a second at the end of lap 1, and we'll have to see what the gap is when they come across the line at the end of lap 2. I think it might be just about the same, because on the run from the hairpin down, Prio really gets away from the Alfa Romeo, and Thompson takes the entire 2 kilometres now to close right back into that position. If we ever see him come out down to Fisherman's, just a car length or 2 behind Prio, Prio is in really serious trouble. But of course, getting past Prio to win the race is only half of what Thompson needs. He needs Prio not to score a single point, and that's not something that James can really do much about.
No, nothing at all, but they can see the Alfa Romeo boys watching their screens, watching their driver to see what's going on. But I have to say, Andrew Priaulx's driving a very good race indeed. We were worried about the pace of his car. We said that right at the very beginning of the race. Looking at the race now, you have to say his car's got the pace that it needs, because you know, while the Alfa Romeo can hang on to the back of him, it's not all over him like a rash. Yes, down the straights they can tow up to that BMW, and that does help, but when they come onto the straights, Andy somehow or another has managed to get himself sufficient space.
Somebody's got off at Lisboa. It's Heisman. Heisman has gone out from 5th place at Lisboa, rejoins in the middle ahead of Stefano D'Aste and Pierre-Yves Courtals. In fact, between D'Aste, Hernandez, Engsler and Courtals. Rob Huff out of the car, out of the race, and the championship finishes there and then for him. Not quite sure what it was, but it looks like a mechanical, possibly maybe some front suspension or steering damage, but Priaulx is pulling away from Thompson now. My thinking is that the better balance of the BMW will help his tyres survive a little better than the Alfa Romeo and the Chevrolet behind him. So as the race progresses, all the pressure that they're bringing to Priaulx's door will start to bite them rather than him. And actually, if push came to shove, Priaulx could drop back to 3rd and still win the title, even if Thompson won the race. But as you've said before, you daren't do that. He wants to win the race and win the championship at the front.
Two things. One, he daren't do that just in case something goes wrong or there's a small problem with the car. On top of that, he's a racing driver.
Yeah.
Racing drivers want to win races. End of story. It doesn't matter where they are, they want to win races. And he's not going to give up that opportunity of winning a race just so as he can win the championship. If he can win both at the same time, win the last race of a 22-round championship and take the championship at the same time, believe me, the bigger the smile will be on his face. And that's what happened to Heisman. He arrived in there just a bit too quick, turned the car around. There we are, trying to get it out of the way so he can get going again. His teammate goes past, and a few others as well. Yeah,
he dropped back down into about 17th or 18th place, just ahead of Courtals. Stefano D'Aste is 3rd in the independents at the moment, 3rd in the independents, and 6th in the independents is Pierre-Yves Courtals. So who's going to win the championship? D'Aste, Courtals, or Rangoni, who leads it, David? It's going to be Rangoni, isn't it, I think?
I think it will be.
I think it will be at the moment, anyway.
Who leads it? D'Aste leads it.
Yes, you're right. He's still got enough points, hasn't he, from 3rd place to stay ahead of Rangoni.
He's 8 points ahead of Rangoni.
Meanwhile, here is the Priaulx/RBM/BMW Team UK crew, and Thompson is really under pressure now from Larini. 2 laps ago, he was all over Priaulx. The last 2 laps, it's been all about Larini over the back of the Alfa Romeo.
And when you look at this, the race of 2 halves, the big long straight at the front, the twisted corners around the back, and all of a sudden the BMW is really good to the twisted parts, loses out along the start and finish straight, and now when they turn into twisted part, he already had that lead, a good lead, because Larini is all over the back of Thompson and giving Thompson a real hard time, and he's worrying more about what's happening behind him, and he's concentrating on trying to hang on to the front of Priaulx in front of him. But nevertheless, you've got 2 British drivers, 1st and 2nd, Nicola Larini, the Italian, in 3rd place, and what have we got in 4th? Well, Montero's in 4th.
Chaga Montero and Ricard Rydell, again good for Seat in their battle with BMW, because Genet is now in 7th and Menu is in 8th place. So 2 BMWs but 3 Seats in the top half dozen. Now then, in the top 8 in the points. Now then, unless I miss my guess, if James Thompson finishes where he is, will he be the championship runner-up? And would he then be the best scoring Alfa Romeo driver in World Touring Car Championship history? I don't think that Giovanardi, Larini or any of the others finished as runner-up in the championship in the years they came here as contenders.
If they finish the way they are now, with Andy Priaulx winning for BMW and see it finishing in 4th, 5th and 7th place, BMW will win the manufacturer championship by 1
It's going to be
point.
So close whichever way it works, and Thompson trying to overhaul Ivan Muller as well is going to be very close as well. 8 points at the moment. He would be tied with Ivan Muller. He also has won 2 races, so it would come down to a tie break between 2nds, 3rds, 4ths and the others as to who would become the championship runner-up. It's going to be a real mathematician politician's paradise. So Prio, Thompson, Larini, Thiago Monteiro starting to close definitely in that normally aspirated petrol engined Seat Leon. And do I remember correctly, has he got the high compression engine this weekend? I think he possibly has. Here comes Larini. He's right where he needs to be. He's in the target zone to try and attack Thompson. Thompson way offline on driver's right. Still clean enough to get the Alfa slowed down just, but Larini closes right up. Nearly a touch of the Tarquinis. But he manages to avoid contact with the back of Thompson. David may be silent for a while he does some more arithmetic.
I'm just working it out to try and work out if they finish the way they are now, James Thompson ends up with 81 points, exactly the same as Ivan Muller. He's got 2 wins, exactly the same as Ivan Muller.
How many second places? Because he'll add 1 to how many he's got at the moment. That was what I needed to know.
He will have 2 at the end of this race if he finishes second. Exactly
Muller's
the same
got
as
2.
Ivan Muller.
Third places, go.
That's the difference. Third places, James Thompson has 4. Ivan Muller has 1.
Can you imagine running at second in the championship? Can you imagine if that was for the championship itself, that it would be decided on a number of third places in a season, never mind anything else. But Larini, you just saw Mark Busfield there with a little shrug of resignation. Larini is really trapped behind Thompson, and Thompson really, we've seen it before, how wide he can make the Alfa Romeo when he needs to, and he really can make it double width around here. But it's going to be on the straights where he is giving a good tow to Larini and getting none in return. There's Tiziana along with Andrea Muller. They've been responsible for looking after this N Technology Alfa Romeo 156 outfit for the last couple of seasons.
And you have to say they've done a fantastic job because they've been doing it on a shoestring. They don't have the works manufacturer backing that the rest have, that Chevrolet have, Seat and BMW. Alfa Romeo themselves said, no, I'm sorry, we can't afford this. And it's the N Technology guys who've decided to go racing, and they did it with James Thompson, and James has just gelled with the team, absolutely fantastic. And for them to be in, fighting for the championship at the end of 22 rounds is just a great for the team, for James.
Slightly worrying, the older the car is and the less money they have to run it, the better it seems to be performing. But you're right, I mean, we were talking to James earlier in the season. He said, you know, if we could go to Macau as championship contenders, what a fairy tale that would be. And it's, you know, it's still not impossible. Look what happened to Ivan Muller. Andy Prio's got a 2-second lead, and nobody is wishing anything on anybody, but until he's out of the car in the collecting area hugging his wife as champion, he's not champion. And here comes Larini. Larini's got a good overlap, but Thompson is desperately late on the brakes. Larini right behind James Thompson. He's all over the back bumper of the Alfa, and he's almost made contact, and that's very close. And here comes Monteiro. Montero's passenger door seems to be, maybe it was the mirror sticking out. It's the window. As he shed the window, I think he might have done. Very close indeed. Further back, Tom Coronel in 9th, leading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 BMWs in a chain. Has just set the fastest lap of the race, but Larini still feeling huge pressure now from Monteiro. This is a 3-way battle, and it is salvation for Prio. Well, David, Prio could barely have paid them better, could he, to hold up Thompson by being right on his boot lid and attacking hard. It's just what Prio needed.
It is, and he's just given himself the breathing space he needed, and he's out there. I'm sure he's enjoying himself, and the whole car will be flowing. He'll be flowing with the circuit, with the car. He'll be using every inch of the circuit, don't get me wrong. He'll be right up against those barriers, getting the best out of the car. But he now has that small breathing space, because right behind, Nicola Larini is chasing, rubbing the back bumper of James Thompson's car, trying every which way he can to get past. Round the hairpin they go, and depending upon the amount of space that Tomo can get as he comes out of that corner, down the hill, through Fisherman's Bend, and then through our bend onto the past the start and finish the grandstand straight, round that last right-hand kink, the Mandarin Bend, before they go down to Lisboa, and that's where the overtaking will take place, if anywhere. But Monteiro now in 4th place. He sees an opportunity. He's got the headlights on. He says, look at me, I'm coming through. I want a piece of this as well.
I think Larini's a bit of an old stager to be foxed by headlights, but Montero is very quick indeed, and he is right behind Larini. Much better place to attack than the Larini is on Thompson. Right behind there is Rydell, Jörg Müller, the white BMW, then Genet, Menu and the rest. Menu flirting with the barriers as Larini closes in on Thompson as they swing through Mandarin, and he's having a good run down the inside. He's done it. Thompson can't defend against that. He's going to have to try and cut back on the inside, but he can't. There's Elaine and Ray Malek looking very, very happy with that. Larini, is he going to make it stop? Yes, I thought he'd just going to outbrake himself there. He got in so much deeper than he's been able to before, but he's got his nose up into 2nd place. Now, can he escape Thompson? Can he attack Prio? Could he win the final race of the championship? They're on lap 7 of 9. He hasn't got much time left, and he was 3 seconds behind at the line.
Well, you have to say that he's just a little bit too far back, but James Thompson now down to 3rd place, so that'll be his 2nd place in the championship, slipping away from him if he doesn't get this particular 2nd place in this race. But Montero very much on a charge, and he hasn't been consistent all year long, but you have to say he's driving a great race, the last race of the season.
Well, Andy Prio has been the champion ahead of Müller for the last 3 years. None of them was Ivan. It's been Dirk and Jörg who've been the runners-up in the last 3 seasons, but he looks like he will be the champion ahead of Müller again this year. Jaime Puig watching proceedings with interest, and his mind, I'm sure, is calculating the points very carefully, with Montero and Rydell 4th and 5th, but with Prio 1st and Jörg Müller in 6th position. Seat at the moment not going to overhaul BMW for the Constructors' Championship either. And that's contact, or is it not quite? Goodness me, how did he miss him?
And that window in the right-hand side of the car is still sticking out. It's not where it quite should be on that Seat, but really I don't think that's holding him back terribly much at all.
Well, it might be causing him a kilometre or so in top speed loss, but more than that, it'll be slightly worrying him with the noise over the first lap or two. Now he won't be bothered by it at all. He is closing in on James Thompson, and can he get by Thompson as well this time? And the Alfa Romeo is definitely losing pace. Tomo's last lap, a 2-minute 34. Prio's was a 2-minute 33.9. So Tomo 0.4 of a second slower than the BMW. And Larini, a 2:33.95. So 200ths quicker than Andy Prio. He's not going to close him at that rate. Montero all over the back of Thompson. As they come through the right-hander at Mandarin, it's up to Lisboa, and Thompson is going to jink right if he needs to. He moves over to cover, and behind, so does Rydell as Jörg Müller comes up behind Rydell. We're with... Oh, Jörg gets by Rydell, and so does Menu, and so possibly does Coronel. We were right with Montero there, right up by the barriers. Nice bit of camera pan work there. But James Thompson held on to 3rd position. Thiago Montero still 4th, as up to 5th goes Jörg Müller. Well, David Leslie with Andy Prio leading by 2.5 seconds, but critically with Jörg Müller there getting ahead of Rickard Rydell up into 5th place. He may not be able to win a championship for himself, Jörg Müller, but he's helping BMW just to squeeze in front of Seat by enough to hang on to their manufacturer's crown.
Without doubt, that's what's made the difference now. I said as we were running earlier on in the race, it would have been winning it by 1 point. So with Jörg Müller moving himself up, we believe into 5th place, he'll be slightly more than 1 point.
Oh, and there's Genet.
Genet's car's got stuck. That's on the start and finish. That's where the grid is.
Yes, it is, isn't there?
And that's a really dangerous place to be stuck, to be perfectly honest. But the marshals out there trying very hard to get it moved as quickly as possible. And there's
there's Joe and the family. Yes, absolutely. Come on, come on, come on. Jamie Thompson hitting the barrier on the inside there as he bounced around the hairpin. And that will give Montero perhaps another run at him. Further back you saw Colin Turkington, 10th place, just ahead of Freddie Ekblom. And Ekblom, of course, is Prio's partner for the weekend. So Prio, yellow flags are out here, and that is, you can see exactly where Janae Seat is, and they've got nowhere really to put him. Last lap, so it shouldn't make a huge difference. Gap down from 2.4 on the previous lap to 1.9, so that's a big gain for Nicola Larini. Surely he can't take it here.
You could see when he came round that last corner where the yellow flags were waved.
Prio had a big slowdown.
Andy Prio slowed down, only used half of it.
Oh, is that menu?
That must be menu.
That's
so only
menu.
Chevrolet that's out
yes,
there.
Of course it is, yes, because we saw Larini already
so
moving.
he was in 8th place, he stopped for some reason. So yeah, Prio slowed right down, but Larini was very much quicker through that corner. But this was the corner where we thought that Thompson might lose that position to Montero. Montero has driven a great race, this one, to try and really move himself up onto the podium. Still in podium position, not yet finished the race, but James Thompson in 3rd place.
Absolutely, James Thompson in 3rd, Thiago Montero in 4th, and incidentally, the BMW Colin Turkington now 9th, but Felix Porchero 8th, means 3 BMWs in the points compared to, at the moment, just 2 Seats. So, in fact, our timing screen hasn't quite refreshed itself to reflect the fact that Ricard Rydell's dropped down yet. So, BMW still racking up the points here, and if anybody else drops out of the lead group, then they will put another car in. But last lap for Andy Prio, 3 years in a row, could it happen again? Bart Mampai looking very relaxed and very happy, and for a car that wasn't top 10 material, Prio again has somehow milked, nursed, cajoled, beaten, cudgeled, whatever it is that he does with it. He's got the performance out of it, he's squeezed it until it bled, and finally he's got where he wanted to be. And how often have we seen Prio with his patented 8th in race 1, win in race 2 solution to the huge penalty ballast that he so often carries. Larini closing behind the battle for 3rd. Montero, I think, going to come up empty behind Thompson. And it is going to be a 4th FIA Touring Car title in a row, a 3rd consecutive FIA World Touring Car Championship for Andy Prio. In just a kilometre, the checkered flag will be there. He checks the mirrors for Larini. Larini was 1.9 behind at the line. He's about 0.6, 0.7 behind now, but it's not enough. The checkered flag is there. Prio avoids the wall on the final corner and wins the 2007 World Touring Car Championship, as he did in 2006, as he did in 2005, as he won the European title in 2004, and that is Bart Mampai in tears. That is the most enormous rescue of a weekend that was going badly, steeply and quickly downhill from the beginning of qualifying. David, what a turnaround.
What you've got to do is stick at it, and that's what Andy Prio did. He knew he was struggling at the beginning of the weekend, and he just kept on going. He pushed as hard as he could all race long. It worked for him in race 1. He got himself up to 8th place. That made all the difference. It gave him that 1 point, and he locked in by having Ivan Muller break down with just less than a lap and a half to go before the end of the first race. And you must never give up in motorsport, because you just don't know what's going to be around the corner, and that's what happened in the first race. That gave Andy everything to run for, starting on the front row with a rear wheel drive. He knew he was going to be into the first corner first, depending on how much hassle he was going to get from the guys behind him. Luckily, James Thompson kept everybody else at bay until towards the end. The Chevrolet got through. The Chevrolet was the quickest guy on the circuit for sure. Not quite enough to get hold of Andy Prio to win the race, but there you have to see one very, very happy man.
Prio takes his World Touring Car hat-trick in Macau. Ladies and gentlemen, your FIA World Touring Car Champion for 2007, Andy Prio. He will step out of the car in Parc Fermé and hopefully we'll get a word with him excuse me, straight away. Winning the race, the final one of the season, to claim his 3rd victory. Nicola Larini in 2nd place, unfortunately still coming up short this year of a victory. James Thompson in 3rd, and just a point away from runner-up spot in the championship as well. So the runner-up spot perhaps fittingly goes to Ivan Muller, the man who came here as joint championship leader. But what can you say? I don't think that there's quite the right phraseology in my head at the moment. We'll have to wait for Thursday and see what the headline writers make of it, because unfortunately this is probably very likely to be completely ignored by Monday's back pages. But for anybody who's interested in cars, that's a very zen look. I don't think he's feeling particularly zen, is he? But 3 in a row.
Unfortunately, the roof of his car's not looking very much better now after he's just sat on it, put a dent in it. But at the end of the season, does it matter?
Not a bit.
It doesn't matter at all. All that matters is he's won the World Championship. Look at the smile on his face. And one very, very happy guy.
Yes, a lot of head shaking as well going on at what a weekend turnaround it's been. And when he gets into the ball this evening, the prize giving ceremony at the end of the year, he is going to be a man looking for another big party, something that the Prio entourage have made quite a habit of here in Macau. So he's got a pretty impressive record. Apart from racing here in Formula 3, he's never failed to come away without a World Championship in his pocket. And unfortunately now he's done it 3 times in a row in Macau. It's going to be really hard for him to break that habit, isn't it? But look at that.
I have to say, everyone thought it was going to be really hard for him to win another championship, because it's just so difficult to win a World Championship. Never mind 2, which is what he did last year. To win 3 on a trot, you have to say, you know, BMW have got a lot to thank this man for.
I think you just saw where the adrenaline drained out of him there, and the tears came through. Jörg Muller hardly looking the happiest man, but with his wife Joan, his father Graham, and the rest of his friends and family from the tight-knit RBM crew and from his home island of Guernsey, there is a man who is again on top of the world. An astonishing career he has carved for himself in touring cars, this man. And just again a remarkable ending. And you have to think as well of the other side of the coin. Real disappointment here for Ivan Muller, real heartbreak. And also for Seat, of course, they came so close to taking both crowns, lost both in the final races to BMW. And also as well to James Thompson, who could, in the final race of the year, have made the fairy tale come true for Alfa Romeo on the smallest budget with the oldest car they've ever contested the series with.
Andy Prio yesterday, it looked like everything is lost and now you won everything. 3rd time.
Yeah, and well, to be first chance to finish. The car was reliable all season. BMW have given me the car, and it made a difference. Thank you to everybody in Munich, everybody in BMW UK, all my sponsors, my family, just for making it possible 4 years in a row. I'm really speechless. I didn't know what to expect coming into the weekend, but I knew something special could happen if we just kept on the road and kept our head, and we did it.
Thank you, congratulations.
He's going to have to start wearing a cloak and a pointy hat, because he is some kind of magician. As Sebastian said at the beginning of the weekend, it looked like it was lost. Where he found the championship, I don't know, but it was somewhere under a lot of hard work and a lot of individual performance from him and from the small RBM team as well. And well, Mario Tyson and the BMW team have already confirmed they're keeping the same 5 drivers next year at BMW Italia Spain. It'll be Zanardi and Portiero. At BMW Deutschland, it'll be Farfus and Jörg Muller. And of course at BMW UK, it'll be Andy Prio. Annie Bradshaw in the background, smiling as broadly as ever she did when one of her charges won a Formula 1 World Championship. And another great headline to write. Andy Prio wins the final race, and with it the championship. And David, it's just simply one of those. I think everybody's going to have to sit down and exactly try and figure out where it all came from and exactly how it all happened for him.
But I have to say, he just kept on working at it. He didn't give up all weekend. He knew he was struggling a little bit, but in that first race he pushed and he pushed and he pushed until he got that 8th place. He was lucky that 2 people had problems at the last lap, but you have to be lucky sometimes, and believe me, he made it work for himself when he got through.
Yep, you're not going to win on luck alone, that much is certain, and they would never hope for it to come to them on luck. In the end, Ivan Muller failed to score all weekend, disappointingly for him, but he was just enough ahead of James Thompson to hang on to the runner-up spot. So it's BMW, Seat, Alfa Romeo, and the top Chevrolet driver in 5th place, Alain Menu. Remarkable season he has had, 5 race wins, very, very strong he's been indeed all year, and with a little bit more reliability for Menu and a couple more wins spread around the rest of the team, I think you have to look next year at not just Seat with the diesel, but Chevrolet as well, being a really, really strong contender season long. And in the end, BMW take the manufacturer's crown as well. A slender 8 points in it. Nothing after the end of the season. So the track goes empty for a while, and the rest of the support races continue throughout the course of the afternoon here, of which there are many and various at Macau, but our focus of course is on our top 3, on James Thompson, on Nicola Larini, and on race winner Andy Priaulx. We'll see them on the podium in a minute or 2, and then we'll hear from them afterwards, and of course Priaulx with another championship to celebrate. So wherever you are, whatever time of the day or night it is, I hope you have enjoyed watching the season finale live from Macau as much as we have. James Thompson then 3rd place, and another great result. And David, it's possibly not an exaggeration to say that they have run their race team on the catering budget of some of the other operations.
Without doubt, James Thompson 3rd in the race, 3rd in the championship, with a car that he raced 4 years ago. That he's now still racing now. Yep. Everybody else gets a new car every year. When James went back to Alfa Romeo, they said, "Oh, we have an old friend for you. Here's the car you had when you worked for us previously." And
by the way, it's had 3 other careless owners in between times as well, one of whom you're looking at there. Yeah, I think Rob Huff's MGB is probably newer than James Thompson's Alfa Romeo. Nicola Larini runner-up spot, and still a real favourite with the Chevrolet team as well. All 3 drivers very much appreciated by the Chevrolet team, and of course our champion. Well, Nicola Larini, James Thompson both came here with a shot at the crown. Nick's evaporated in race 1. It was really an enormous task for him. At the time though, it looked as though Priaulx was just as tough, and somehow Fat Fire pulling out. He's done it again, 4 in a row. There is Luca Rangoni, but I don't think he's taken the championship title. I think that has gone to Stefano D'Aste. Opening couple of bars of the national anthem, and interesting that for this race it was the driver rather than the team. So our independent race winner then for the 2nd time, Luca Rangoni here, won both races at Macau, and that's no mean feat in what is a highly competitive field. Often it doesn't get seen quite as clearly as the race at the front of the field, but it was a very tough battle in the end, and just 6 points separated the Independence Trophy winner Stefano D'Aste from Luca Rangoni in the death, and Rangoni outscoring Stefano D'Aste in both races, but not quite enough to overhaul him. 3rd place, disappointment for Pierre-Yves Courtal. 6 points in the 2nd race, but none at all in the 1st race, and the first couple of corners really sealed it for him. So the Yokohama Independence Trophy goes to Stefano D'Aste, as the trophy for 3rd and 2nd place are presented to James Thompson and Nicola Larini. The race winner, will receive his garland and his trophy. And for round 22 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship, it is our new champion, Andy Priaulx. Dr. Mario Tyson, the head of BMW Motorsport, of course, with not only their Formula One operation to look over, but also their touring car operations. And he accepts the award for the winning manufacturer in round 22. And of course, with that goes confirmation that they, like Priaulx, have defended successfully their championship for the 3rd year. 4 consecutive titles for Priaulx. And 4, is it 5? No, 4 I think consecutive, because previous to that it was Fabrizio Giovanardi won the European Touring Car Championship. Yes, their horses have been very well harnessed to Priaulx's carriage, or the other way round. And Luca Rangoni taking the independence win here, but Stefano D'Aste losing the battle and winning the war. Well, we are going to hang on here live to hear from our top 3. So stay with us. Again, they'll get busy with the fizzy, and then a moment for the photographers. And they're being particularly gentlemanly about it. Tell you what, they couldn't be that slow off most junior single-seater podiums if they wanted to remain even remotely dry.
They're still waiting to give the extra bottle to Andy. He hasn't got his yet.
Yes,
well, going to bring him a particularly large
defenseless for the first time. No Mario Tyson's hijacked it on the way.
He's got it.
Priaulx is without doubt in for a major dousing. And unaccustomed as he is, Mario Tyson manages to get the top off the bottle, and Priaulx will half drown, half be stung by champagne. The sweet taste of success. So, applause and congratulations to Andy Priaulx. He is the 2007 FIA World Touring Car Champion, and for Mario Tyson, unaccustomed to blinking champagne out of his eyes as he is, a chance to enjoy a moment of celebration with his new champion as well. To empty the trophy and to head off. He's not a bad touring car driver, says Ian Titchmarsh, the circuit commentator, and indeed I think he's absolutely spot on. Certainly at this moment the best of his generation, and he is a real touring car benchmark. So David, we always look to Macau not just to see our championship decided, but also for some sort of bizarre twist in the tale. And I thought we might have been done with those in race 1, but it was keeping us on tenterhooks right to the very end of race 2.
It was, and you just never know what's going to happen in motorsport. It doesn't matter what circuit you're at, but when you've got the last race of the World Championship at Macau, then it's always going to be very, very difficult, and you just never know what's going to happen. And we've seen in race 1 the whole thing turn around. We were all convinced, the paddock was convinced, the drivers were convinced with the speed that Muller had, he was going to go out with that diesel Seat and he was going to win. And unfortunately for Ivan Muller, it all went wrong in the race. Something that was very, very unusual to have a mechanical failure, but that's what happened to him. Because of that, he ended up not scoring points and not being able to get back out in the second race to try and score any points either. But things happen in motorsport. You really have to keep your head down. You've got to keep on going. That's what Andy Priaulx did this weekend. He just pushed and pushed all he could. He knew he wasn't doing well at the beginning of the weekend when it came to qualifying and free practice, but at the end of the day, that pushing got him far enough up in the first race into 8th place to start him on the front of the grid, and that gave him that extra bit of push to go out, score another win at the end of the season. What better way to win a World Championship than to win the last race of 22 for the World Championship itself?
Absolutely, and it's exactly how he would have wanted to do it. Perhaps not with all the tension that led up to the final race, but by claiming the final win of the season and with it the championship. Well, we're still trying to find out from our moles within the SEAT camp, since we've not been able to leave the booth to inquire exactly what has happened to Ivan Malone. We'll try and find an answer to that before the end of the programme, just purely to cross the T's and dot the I's. Well, there you see all of our 21 points scoring drivers, and although some of them were very infrequently in the points, certainly at the top it was a very close fight all the way through the season. Time then to hear our final interviews of the year. We start with our race winner, Andy Priaulx.
Andy Priaulx, it must be a relief, your third title, and you're apparently the king of Macau.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. It hasn't quite sunk in, to be honest. We've had a challenging weekend, and to be honest, there was a big energy against me not winning this weekend, and had to drive through that in both races. I'm just delighted that we had the reliability in the car, and we achieved our end result, which we've all been focusing on. Thanks to everybody, my team, my family, everybody at home in Guernsey, the Channel Islands, and to BMW in the UK, and all my sponsors, because all the energy has made me win this weekend.
You look quite emotional, and I think it was a very tough race. In the first corner, or in the first lap, you had even, I think, contact with James Thompson, so it was not anything else than easy.
No, it's never easy. I mean, to be honest, every race is the toughest race of my life, and you just have to get better and better, and clearly we had a technical disadvantage this weekend, but we found a way through. We had the reliability, which is also crucial, and the speed at the important time when we needed it in race 2, and we just finished the race. And you know, there's that famous saying, to be first you must finish, and we've done it, and I'm just ecstatic, and I can't thank everybody enough. And I wish my daughter happy birthday again. I've missed it 4 years in a row, but guys, Daniela, Seb, all my family at home, we're bringing the trophy home.
Thank you very much, and enjoy the party.
Thank you.
There you see again, she's going to be expecting a trophy from Macau, World Champions trophy every year for her birthday, so he's really making a rod for his own back, isn't he? Tell you what, you're not going to get very good odds on Priaulx winning next year. Nobody is going to give you long odds if it comes down to a final at Macau, as it will. Second place then in the final race, Nicola Larini.
Nicola Larini, finally here in Macau you finish as the best Chevrolet driver. Is it a big relief for you?
I'm a little bit upset because I think I lost my race at the start. The red light was never going off, so I had a clutch trouble. I lost the speed at the start, and James catch me, and he overtake me along the straight line. And then to overtake him, I lost 5 laps. Definitely too much to try to win the race.
Thank you very much.
His 5th second place of the year. I was just trying to count up how many podiums he's had. I think he's had 8 or 9. Maybe that might even be his 10th podium. Never mind. Let's get on to our final driver interview of the season then, with our 3rd place man, and the man who took the battle to Andy Priaulx to the very final race of the year, James Thompson, who ends up 3rd in the championship and in the final race.
James Thompson, you came to Macau as a championship contender, and you had the chance until the last race, and now you finished 3rd in the championship. It must be a big relief for you.
Surprise, relief, yeah, a lot of emotions, to be honest with you, because, you know, like we said, everybody knows the situation this year. We've had 1 day's testing, arrived here, not driven for 6 weeks, brushed the rust off, and the team have done a fantastic job. And to be really the only man in the last race of the year, to be able to challenge, you know, was fantastic. And when I was in 2nd place, I thought, well, maybe everything's possible. If Andy makes a mistake and I win the race, you know, a dream could come true.
And it must have been a very exciting race. I mean, in the beginning you pushed on Andy, and afterwards you had to defend very hard. I mean, it can't be closer than the fight between you and Nicola Larini.
No, that's right. It was a good fight, tough fight. A couple of times was nearly in the wall, but really their car has been too fast this weekend. I think we've done an exceptional job to score as many points as we have, and a little bit of a disappointment we missed out on second place in the championship if we'd finished second. But ifs, buts and maybes. I think if somebody had said we'll be in third place at the end of the season, having challenged for the championship right down to the wire, we'd have smiled and thought, no way. So very happy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
8 podium finishes, including his double race winning weekend in Valencia. What a season for an aging car and a greatly underfinanced team. It just goes to show what James Thompson and the N Technology crew have managed. But in the end, although he took the fight to the final race, it was Priaulx that ended up as the season's champion. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for enjoying the championship with us. From David Leslie, from me, Martin Haven, and from the rest of the production crew, till 2008, it's goodbye.
That we can keep as a memento of this visit. Take California.